Connected to that, not a million miles from the Rupert story, Terry McCrann in the Herald Sun had a story during the week that James Packer is hawking his remaining media holdings, including his stake in Foxtel, and Rupert Murdoch's News Corp would be the main buyer for that, looking at a price of $1 billion according to that story, so he can concentrate on gambling instead of gambling on the media. And then on Friday, Consolidated Media Holdings, which is the Packer vehicle, confirmed that there had been preliminary discussions about a possible control proposal, but that it's not considering a sale of its Foxtel interests. So I guess the question is that carefully worded so that they probably are, but they're just negotiating in public, or what?
Well, I think people need to be clear that there's two ways to sort of skin this cat. You could just sell Foxtel and presumably Fox Sport, or you could have a change of control at the Consolidated Media Holdings level, and it owns 25% of Foxtel, and the obvious buyer of that stake is News Corp. Look, James Packer wants to get into gambling. Look at the share price of Echo Group. Since it demerged from Tabcorp, it's just headed north. Packer already owns via Crown 10% of it. I think that it's clear that's where his interests now lie.
Yeah, the issue for James is he's got 48% of Crown, wants to retain control of Crown, so if he wants to merge it with Echo, he's got to find a big lump of capital to build up or maintain his interest. In relation to the Foxtel interests, there are some forms of preemptive rights between Telstra and News and Packer within Foxtel. If you don't want to trigger those, it makes sense to do it at the vehicle level, at the Consolidated Media level. Right.
That's right, because otherwise Telstra has a right to sort of essentially approve any new shareholder, doesn't it? So
we're not quite sure about what those rights are because no one will talk about them, but there are rights in there somewhere.
But we do know
so
one thing for sure.
So they could have a potential ability to block it or hold it up.
Yes, or complicate
like the new
it.
buyer.
Yeah.
Well, one thing Telstra can't do is buy that Foxtel stake itself. I think the federal government has said, no way, they've been allowed to buy Austar, they can't go any further with Foxtel.
Well, I guess the other side of the story is how much control Packer's going to be allowed to have of gambling and casinos in this country.
I think he can do it. I think he can do it. Every casino is its own
they're regional monopolies, aren't
they?
But he's still got to get the Queensland and New South Wales government to approve going beyond the 10% stake that he's limited to in Echo. And, I mean, offering to build a $1 billion beautiful 5-star, 6-star, 7-star tourism development at Barangaroo in New South Wales may be a big enough incentive for Barry O'Farrell to say yes.
Yeah, the argument that the Packer camp would make in relation to owning all the casinos in Australia is that these casinos don't compete with each other in any meaningful sense, but they do compete with Singapore, where there's a couple of massive new casino complexes, or entertainment complexes as they now call them, and Macau, of course. And so he would say it's in the national interest for our casino networks to be competitive with those.